Well,
Okay. Hang on. Okay, we are live. We are live right now. Okay. And okay. We are live right now. We are doing a special podcast, and her name
Mackenzie.
is Makenzie Shirilla. And I don't know if you guys know her or not, but she was accused of
Hitting a wall at 100 miles an hour.
yes, I was getting there. She was accused of, yes, at 100 miles an hour. It killed her boyfriend and their friend.
20-year-old Dominic Russo and 19-year-old Devon
Flango. This is an unusual case here because there's like so much about it. About the case. This thing is just going all over the place. Okay.
That's Nancy.
So this case is kind of interesting because this girl, I guess they had said that if you guys, I don't know if you guys have watched the video or not, but this girl, I guess, had they had left the party at 5 a.m. that they had went to the previous day, and they left this party supposedly left this party at 5 a.m. and
on July 31st,
July
2022.
2000, yeah, it was 2022, and the video shows her turning the corner with her blinker on, going slow, and doing the right traffic things and everything, and then you see just a few seconds later as she goes down the road that you hear her hit the gas, and then you can hear her hit the wall. There's a lot of
Media coverage.
yes, and the media can make it out to be worse than what it is, or media does lie about some certain things. Media does make some things worse than what it's supposed to be. We are in this podcast today. We are just going to go over like what the news and the media and everybody has to say, but she is actually going to go on our podcast and tell her side of the story. So today we're just going to go over what their side is and what everybody else is saying, and
to kind of brief you guys on what to expect when she comes on in a couple weeks.
absolutely. And we are totally mutual. We're not judging. We're not saying she's guilty. We're not saying she's innocent. We are mutual parties in this whole thing.
It's a really interesting story.
It is very interesting, and we want to help her get her side of the story out there. So, she really wants to tell her side, what's going on with her side. She does have like a YouTube channel. It's called Free Mackenzie?
Free Mackenzie Shirilla.
Yes.
It's on YouTube.
Yes, and you can also look up stuff on there. They're trying to clear some stuff up on there. This is a very interesting case.
The police dash cam's on, or not dash cam, sorry, body cam is on another one. On another one, it's the actual footage of the court.
Yes,
There's many of them.
Yes, and they're trying to file like a new motion, for the convictions and everything. They're saying by introducing medical evidence to explain why she crashed it. They were saying it wasn't her potassium, it was her sodium drop. Like, she has POTS, and they're saying that the sodium in the POTS is probably that could have been the cause in this. It's really hard to say.
But it's supposed to be without a doubt before they convict someone, and the lawyer has brought up a lot of doubts. Like, there's no proof that maybe there's an argument no proof that maybe she had an occurrence with her pops. But the judge just seemed, the media shows what they want to show.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to make it out to the worst. So we would like to hear her version. But she was only 17 years old when this happened. Her boyfriend Dominic Russo was 20, and he was going to open his own business. So he was set, just graduated from high school. The friend of Dominic was Devin, and he was a star football player. I believe he was a linebacker, and he was only 19. And unfortunately, he was trapped in the car after it hit. But Makenzie would really like to get her side of the story out there. And if you're interested, before the next podcast we do, YouTube video, you can go on and look things up so you can ask questions while we have her live.
Absolutely.
So it's a really interesting story because there's so many different ways this could have turned out, and so many rhyme and reasons how it could have happened. But to hit a wall at 100 miles an hour and survive is incredible.
Yes, absolutely. She was the only one that survived. She did have some broken bones, and she did have surgery done.
We would like to ask her one of the questions: what injuries she had, just to give you an idea of what kind of questions she might want to ask when we do this next
Yes,
interview with her.
welcome
Actually.
any questions you have, because she's willing to talk. She wants to talk. She wants to tell her side. They do think it's probably something medical, and they say she's had POTS, like a diagnosis of that.
The mother said.
The mother said that, yes.
But of course, with media, they're only showing bits and pieces of things, trying to make her out to the absolutely worst. And there were a lot of things that you're like, whoa, wow. You know, for instance, she said, "I'm not even cool. I'm just able to do a lot of drugs and not die." Well, that could have been out of a rage for something, and they just happened to put that in there. That's just an example of how the media twists
They put the
everything.
worst of it out there, is what they do. They try to make it worse than what it is.
But she was life flighted.
She was, yes.
And she was in the hospital for a minute. And then, of course, people are crucifying her because she's not walking around wearing black over it. She's moved on with her life before she was arrested.
Yes, she
So
went to
they're-
a costume party, and they are, yes, and they are assuming, now they don't know for sure, but they are assuming, because the way the costume that she had on, they're saying it was like, what they say,
It was morbid
corpse.
because it was a kind of like a corpse kind of. It was a dead person, and of course they're twisting that. It's Halloween. People like scary stuff, but they're twisting it to. Well, we're gonna talk to her about that too, but to ask her why she chose that costume, and then we can get her side of it. We don't want to say this is what happened because we don't know till we talk to her. But an example of media doing things again is they took bits and pieces of a video of her and a friend taking pictures like 17-year-olds do. You know, she wanted to be a model, so they took a lot of pictures, and she was wearing a skeleton face painted on with all black on, and they're crucifying her because she celebrated Halloween, which this accident happened in July.
Mhm.
October is quite away from there, so of course her family and her friends want her to start living life again. So they invited her to a Halloween party, and they're crucifying her for it.
Everybody, they mourn differently. Maybe that's how she was mourning. Maybe that it's hard to say. We don't know what's going through her mind. She went through a very traumatic thing. She lost two friends. She lost her boyfriend. You know, the other friend. We don't know what goes through a person's mind. She was 17 at the time. Maybe that's just how she mourns. She wants to be out with her friends instead of being alone in the house. And I mean, it's really hard to say.
Well, the mom did state that she was eating only the foods that her boyfriend liked.
Mhm.
She was only watching shows that the boyfriend liked. So in her way, she was showing that she was mourning for him.
Yeah.
It's just apparently the public doesn't think it was long enough, which is another notch in the belt for media.
Yes, that's what media does. They try to make it out really bad.
But I'm looking forward to talking to her and getting her side.
Absolutely.
I spent a lot of time looking into this.
We did. We watched a lot of stuff.
She's got 18 charges on her. They're talking about 15 years for each count, but they put them together so in 15 years, when she's in her 30s,
she can go up for parole.
She can go up for parole. I'm sure it'll be publicized again, but we would like to get her personal input on what happened.
Because her boyfriend's name was Dominic Russo, and their friend was Davian Flanagan.
Yeah.
Flanagan. So I mean, she got sentenced and she was found guilty in 2023. So she's only this is still kind of fresh.
In 22.
Yes.
Because they waited until she just had her birthday, so she turned 18.
Mm-hmm.
They arrested her, but then she didn't go to court till she turned 18.
Well, she was also found. She was found 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools. Now, the way they're expressing
Plus
this is
trafficking, drug possession, and charges because they did find mushrooms in the car in a scale.
And that's the thing too is, I understand it's her car and the way things were, but I'm always saying in her defense, because like I said, we're mutual on this thing. How does she know that one of them didn't have that, and when the car crashed and exploded the way it did, that didn't follow the person in the back seats, and then it went all over the place and it landed.
Not that we're saying.
Not that we're saying any of them did that or anything. We're just making an assumption on what because you know how they say it's like her car, so if it's like right there, then it's hers, and they're assuming that the criminal tool, which was the scale, was hers, and they found like mushrooms, so they're saying it was hers too. But she also has a history of doing stuff like that, and drinking and stuff. But I mean, she did in her blood work, they did find marijuana.
Hours later, they took a test, and she was still considered high.
When the crash had happened, they said because I guess somebody had called it in and didn't check on them, and when they went there, the engine wasn't even warm anymore; it was cool. So they had to have been sitting there a while, like a minute at least. I mean, because for the engine to be cooled off, they were sitting there for quite a minute.
Well, a jogger went by and reported it. Then someone else seen the car, reported it, but didn't investigate in it. So then the police think nothing of it. They're thinking a parked car. They didn't say it was split in half. So then they finally show up, and that's an hour later. And then they were stuck in the car for 2 to 3 hours.
Yes.
So by the time they could get her out, everything was cold. Everything was just thrown everywhere. You have to go online and look at these pictures.
Yes, you have to go on her.
Crazy how this car ended up being.
You'd have to watch a lot of the stuff. We did very, very intense research on this. This whole thing is just crazy. Like, it could go either way. It honestly could. Now her lawyer was now we're just discussing, like I said, she's gonna tell her side of the things, but we're just telling you what we're reading and what the research we have done. They're arguing the fact that maybe, something could have had happened to her, and one of the other people in the car took control of the car and they had hit. But then they're arguing also the fact, the prosecutors? They're also arguing the fact that because her foot was still on the gas when they were trying to get her out.
Her foot was completely on the gas pedal, and the speedometer stopped at 70-something miles an hour after the impact.
But there was a black box. I guess in the older vehicles in 2014 and up, there's a black box. And in the airplanes, they can tell, like when you get into
It's
an
like a
accident.
GPS.
Yeah, it's like a GPS. They can tell if you use the brakes, if you didn't use the brakes. What you were, like the stuff, like if there was a malfunction in the car, just like if it was a malfunction in the airplane, they can tell all that, and they said with the black box that this is what it's saying is that
That she accelerated
it didn't put the
immediately
brake.
after she took the right. She took
Yeah,
a right hand turn, and it's on one street camera, and she turns her blinker on, she turns calmly, but then on another camera she just punches it, and then you hear the crash
you
of
could
her
hear
hitting
her
the sign,
hit the gas, and
and
then you could hear it hit the wall.
the wall.
But
It's crazy.
within that, what is it, like
It was
30
78.
seconds?
It was 7 to 8 seconds. She had it floored.
Yeah.
She made it from one end of the street to the wall in 8 seconds.
Yes.
That's how fast she was.
I mean, the whole thing happened in like less than 30 seconds between turning the corner with her blinker and stuff and all that happening. That's how fast it happened. But when she, like she said, when she accelerated, hit the wall, it was like less than 7 seconds. Um, Now they were saying, like, up until this part, they were saying that her boyfriend had been arguing off and on. They ended up going to a party together, and then when they went to the party, they stayed there till about 5 a.m. and then they decided they were going to get up and leave. Well, that's when the other kid came in, and he asked if he could get a ride with them. That's how he got involved in that. Now, I don't know really how long they've known him, or if he was just like a friend that they've known for whatever amount of time. But that's how they, how he got involved in this whole thing. Davion.
It was just the wrong time.
He was there at the wrong
place.
place, wrong time. Is all that was him.
They got up to leave, and he asked for a ride, not knowing that they had argued 2 days before, and they have on, of course, we don't know what the whole conversation was. Media only tells us the incriminating part, which she says on the recording, I'm going to crash this car. So they have her saying that once 2 days before, so now they're using
They're
that
trying to
against
make her out like she's
They're
just,
building a case against her.
yeah, they're
and
making her like she's this crazy person, always threatening, and
we don't know. It could
We-
be so, it could be not, but
we
The
honestly
media
don't
is
know till we
really-
hear her side too, because there's three sides to every story. There's hers, there's theirs, and then there's the truth. And we want to get her side of the story, and she's more than willing to get online and or get online. I'm sorry, get on the
but they have
podcast
18
and
charges on her.
yes, they have
And
a lot
one
of
of them
charges.
is also for breaking into the Columbia Church of God. And I believe it was for vandalism to the church. So they're trying to build anything they can pull against her to do this to her. I mean, it's just, they're really building it up. So I'm really curious to see if you guys can come up with some questions. Maybe we can really get into this deeper with her. We can't really
guys
talk
definitely-
too much about it because
We're only telling the side that we looked up and all the information that everybody can to get to. But for some of this stuff, you really have to go deep into looking. Like, you really have to search, because you find all kinds of stuff on here. She has, like I said, she has that page where it's free Michaela.
which is the body cam of
Or
a police
Makenzie, I'm sorry,
officer.
Makenzie. I don't know, I misread that for a second. Free Makenzie. You can go on that, and there's just a lot of videos. But you watch that video of the crash that when they have to get them out of there, when they thought it was just one person in the car, but as they went around to the car, because I guess they said the car was cut in half, which we were trying to figure out.
The engine is completely. It looks like the engine just imploded.
Yeah.
And there are parts all over the place. The rear end of it doesn't look like it was touched. She hit the corner of a building, which is
Strongest
the
part.
strongest part of a building. She hit that after plowing through a sign. And when the police officer in the body cam was showing from the road to the accident, the actual site, see where she hit the curb, and it looks like it veered to the right a little according to the track. So his argument about someone might have grabbed the wheel could have happened. Well, she says she doesn't remember, but we're hoping once she knows we're going to do this interview with her that she'll start thinking about things and she'll be able to answer. I have pages and pages of things
At the
that
accident,
I looked
though,
into.
as they were starting to cut her out, I guess she had to have been coming too, because she was talking with them and they were asking her questions. Now, she may not have remembered what had happened or how it happened, but I'm assuming from the way they're talking and the way they're doing they're cutting, they're trying to get her out, like she's starting to like talk, and they're asking her questions. And so I don't know, like that's kind of something we're gonna kind of discuss with her too.
Well, that's
like,
all on body cam.
yeah, that's all on body
cam.
cam.
That it is on camera, so we can't deny that. But the officer did approach the car, and he thought it was just a driver.
Mm-hmm.
But he walked around because, of course, all the bags were imploded, and then he seen there was a passenger, and then he seen there was a passenger in the back seat,
Yep.
and you can tell he wanted to retch. It was that bad. And then they thought
The one in the back seat.
Davian was still alive, so they put him in an ambulance, but he succumbed to it. And then Dominic was DOA, and then she was, we need to ask her, she was pinned in there, but it doesn't say how she was pinned. If you watch the video, you can see where he asked her name, and she answers. She did scream a little bit because they were moving the car around, but she did come.
Mm-hmm.
She did wake up, and she knew her name.
Yeah.
So it could have been too much head trauma, but they did life flight her.
Yeah,
And then
she
it
had
loses
some
track of
surgeries
the
and
story.
yeah. This is definitely going to be an interesting story.
But they were smart about this because they waited they dragged it, and they waited. She was 17 when this accident happened.
Yes.
They waited to the next day that she turned 18, which was March of 2023, and then the judge decided to try her as an adult.
Yep.
2 days after everything happened, she turned 18. So then they decided to try her as an adult. And the funny thing is judges aren't supposed to be partial to anything, but she actually had a nickname for her, Hell on Wheels.
Yes.
And I didn't think they were allowed to like pick sides. And when you see how snarky she is and how she lectures her, it's like she chose a side. So you would think they'd have to throw that out just because of that. I mean, it's kind of scary knowing that a judge can get all for the family and not really let the lawyer get involved in talking about what it could have been, because it's supposed to be without doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought up a lot of things that make you think that could have happened.
It's kind of like you just don't know. Like, you really have to sit and weigh the options. She did get sentenced to life in prison with an eligibility of parole after 15 years served. So in 15 years she could go for parole, but it doesn't mean she's going to get it. So
it's just a very bad story.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, a 17-year-old girl. It's just I mean, she might surprise us and remember stuff when we start talking about more, because I'm sure there's not a lot of people talking to her in prison about it. But I mean, she might surprise all of us and remember something. But she did write to both families and
she did
say she was sorry, apologize, and say it was an accident. And I'm sure they're going to have her see a psychologist, psychiatry, and all that stuff to try and
Building Blocks Therapy can help your child with autism live a happy, functional life through a caring, effective approach in a fun environment.
I absolutely think the good
They
connection
do
helps
have
them
a
progress, and it also helps them
passive
have trust.
so that they used against her also.
Yes, they did.
They did have an argument before, and there was a witness to it, and she was hitting him according to the witness. And then there was another incident where she drove erratic into
Now
crashed his car.
this is all stuff that
and this
is on
all
the internet.
Hearsay.
This is the stuff we have done research on. It's not something we're making up or something we're trying to make her sound like a bad person.
No,
this is stuff, if you do your
all
research,
stuff
you
we
will
have
see
to
it.
ask her about.
And this is why we're preparing you for when she does go. You guys can kind of look and get it, like, you know, watch the stuff and then have your own questions too, besides the questions that we also were going to have too for her. But, I mean, you guys really have to watch these videos and read up on it. Like, read up on everything.
The pictures of the car alone are going to make you want to listen to what she has to say.
Yes.
I promise you. You're going to want to hear this interview.
Absolutely.
And not to sway anybody, but after you watch a bunch of it, because it's media twisting stuff and trying to make money off of the story, you might pick a side, but remember that until you actually talk to her, we don't know.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, we're mutual on it. We're not saying she's guilty. We're not saying she's innocent. We, you know, this is like a case. It's like it's in between here because, you know, it could have possibly have been a medical thing, and it could possibly have been like the other way, like they said she was, you know, driving because she was mad. They were arguing. Maybe she got high before she left. I mean, we don't. I mean, I'm just saying this is. I'm just saying we're just weighing options here. I'm not saying that's what had happened. I'm just saying it's just hard. It's just hard to say. That's why we got to get like her side besides what the media is saying. We just don't know.
But she's
But they did say there was a lot of marijuana in her system, like a lot of THC, and there was quite a bit because if that car was cooled off, and she still had that much THC in her system.
Well, that's where another thing media changes things because
Mhm.
one police officer says everything's cold, another one said upon arrival it was still warm. But they stated that she was there for over an hour after the first phone call that someone said there was a car parked in the yard. So you really, really need to watch these videos, and then you're gonna want to ask her questions. I guarantee it.
Now they also said, like in the filing, like of the Cuyahoga County Court, they included an affidavit from a university hospital, a neurologist who like reviewed her stuff, like the post crash and the medical stuff, and concluded that the evidence is consistent with loss of consciousness at the time of the wreck, and he also said that like she had elevated lactate levels and abnormally low blood oxygen and complete like amnesia after the incident, and it's a marker. He said it's like a classic marker for like a seizure or an what do you call it, an autonomic event,
Yeah.
like an autonomic, yeah.
Which means like something happened previous
Yes.
medically to it.
Um,
But they also said that they did test and there was nothing wrong with the car, so
Yeah.
that was ruled out. The state versus her was trying to say all this stuff, and the lawyer came back and did let them know that it was tested and there's nothing wrong with the car.
yeah, because they're saying it's POTS, and they said like 2 years prior to this she was diagnosed with it, and they're thinking maybe, you know, if anybody knows what POTS is, it's like it's a tachycardia thing with your heart. It's like a postural, yeah, it's like an orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I mean,
Knowing
it's
this, she still smoked pot and drank that
Yes.
night before, which
She
could
did.
have contributed to this whole thing.
absolutely that could have triggered it. We don't really know. You know what I'm saying? That, I mean, that, like she said, that could have triggered it, and then, you know what I'm saying? But it's just hard to say. And you know, I'm just throwing it out there too. You know, she's 17, and you know, a lot of 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, they do smoke marijuana. Not every one of them, but there are kids that do
She
that. I'm just saying.
She
I mean,
had all kinds of Instagram
you know,
posts Boston,
Yes.
all that stuff. She was your average Joe,
Average teenager.
snarky, wannabe, you know, a model, smoking pot, drinking. They're graduating from high school.
Yeah.
But
You know how the teenagers are when they hit what 15, 16.
Yeah.
That's just not every teenager does it, but there are some that do smoke some marijuana.
they test the waters,
But they do, but they don't do this. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, I don't make it sound like that. Like she was the only one that's ever done this before.
Bad cop on it. There was also mushrooms found in the car,
Yes.
scale found in the car, an immense lot of money found in the car.
Yes.
So playing the bad cop, which
Mhm.
we're probably going to do the next podcast so that we can pull out more of the story, is there were signs there that she was doing things, so that could add to her already being ill.
Yes.
Because how many of us are told don't smoke, it's going to hurt you, and
Yep.
you do it anyways?
Yep.
I'm sure she was
That's-
told you have this, but she's still going to do other things.
That's what I was stating when I said teenagers, they do try things, they do things, but for her, she has done this kind of thing. Like this isn't a one-time thing though for her, for like smoking marijuana or whatever. But like she said, that could have contributed to.
But you can watch Free Mackenzie, Shirilla on YouTube, on Facebook. There's Crime Circus on YouTube also.
Yes.
There are numerous videos. We really encourage you to watch them because
Do your research on it because you'll
want
understand.
to ask questions when we have her on. In this way, YouTube can be updated on what we're talking about.
Yes.
Just remember, this is a 17-year-old at the time that had her boyfriend in the front seat. He was 20-year-old Dominic, a 19-year-old passenger that the family said she was just using him for baggage, which is crude.
Yes.
And he was 19. The boys were the one was gonna start his own business. He wanted to cut hair. He wanted to start a barbershop. The other one, they had plans and stuff. It's not like, I don't know. You really got to watch these videos.
Now Davian, he's really not mentioned too much in here, because he was just like the third person, like the friend that wanted a ride. They're more focusing on her and her boyfriend. But, Davian was a part of this situation too because he was in the car. We don't know what happened, in that car ride from that party that they left up until the crash. Like, we don't really know the distance of that and what had happened in between, if there was arguing in the car or she
Because they
really
have
did.
argued in the car.
Yeah.
That's the reason we say that.
Yes. And, that's exactly right. I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm just saying we don't know what happened. We don't know if they were arguing and she got mad and hit the gas, or we don't know if she did have an episode and maybe he did try.
Premeditated.
We don't.
We don't know any of this.
Yes, we don't know because they are saying that there is proof too that she had been at that site before.
The day before the
Yes.
accident.
So
according to her cell phone.
Yes, but we don't know. We can't say
to
for
say
sure.
the area, I could say I'm in Geneva, but it doesn't. And say by your house, it doesn't mean I'm on your street.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say. Like I said, when she does talk, we have a lot of questions, and if you guys have any questions, we will honestly, I'll see the questions on there, and we will ask her the questions, and she knows and that you guys are going to be asking questions. She is more than willing to get on here and explain, what had happened and what's going on, and you know what I'm saying, and she's gonna, because she said that they have a legal team and they're trying to clear this stuff up. So it's,
Which is why it's good to get her on here so that you guys can help us get to the bottom of it.
yes,
But they have so much incriminating stuff, but that's all they're showing. They're not showing if she did anything good with her life. They're not showing if she was a good student, if she had good friends. They're just attack, which I know if it was my family member, I'd probably be the same way. But when you see some of this stuff, I can't into a building.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine it, but it happens.
It does. It does. Yes.
But this jack up, that they really have it out for her to have 18 charges against her. I mean, they were just building them up.
Now, the father of Dominic, he doesn't feel that she should have to spend her whole life in prison. I think it was Dominic's dad that said that. The boyfriend.
It was Mr. Flang.
Oh, was it Flanagan?
Yeah,
Flanagan's father?
No, it
Or
was.
Davian's?
Yeah, it was Davian's dad that's